Hello world, my name is Ihor and this is another Techno Recipe. And today I'd like to talk about this particular patch, break it down for you guys, explain my thought process, share a couple of ideas when it comes to patching, and give a couple of tips when it comes to performance. The main idea of this patch was based on Metropolix because it's a 2-track pitch, gate, and modulation sequencer. I wanted to utilize both of the tracks to create some kind of polymetric relationship in between the bass line and the lead sound or arpeggiator. And for the bass line, we have Minimal Dawless from Noise Engineering, and we have Platz for our lead sound from Mutable Instruments. And that's pretty much it. And let me cover the setup real quick. We have the Digitact over here, which is going to be our 909 drum kit, and effects for modular. So it receives audio from modular and sends the MIDI clock into the modular. And also all the audio coming from the Digitact gets recorded in Ableton Live and goes to you into this video. And when it comes to this patch, it's quite straightforward. There is not that many modules here. So we have clock coming from the Digitact into the palette case, then it goes into the MIDI interface, and both clock and transport information from MIDI interface patched into the Metropolix so that we can start and stop the sequence whenever we want. And then track number 1 of the Metropolix pitch and gate are patched into the Minimal Dawless, and track number 2 pitch and gate into the Platz. And then output from Minimal Dawless goes into this first, or input A of this VCA, and from Platz goes into the B of this VCA, and I'm using it as a mixer. And since we're using like dual voice, the left and right channel are like 2 different mono channels instead of one stereo channel that goes into the output module and then into the Digitact. It's quite important to have this dual feature enabled so that Digitact treats these 2 inputs not as a stereo input, but as 2 different mono inputs. And we can apply effects per each of those, which is awesome. And then we have some modulation here, but I'm gonna come to this a little bit later. Let's listen to what we've got. I'm gonna start the sequence, and there goes our bass line. Quite straightforward. So we can control the low pass filter and some other things like envelope, detune the saw, and stuff like that. And then when it comes to track 2 on the Metropolix, it's exactly the same by default, and we have exactly the same sound actually, but coming from Platz. I, of course, tuned these 2 oscillators before this session, and Metropolix has tuner actually, which is quite helpful. So this one, exactly the same sequence, and we can control the decay of these strings modeling and distort them quite a lot. I really love it. So when it comes to this sound, I'd like to add some reverb to it and delay. I really like to open up the filter or distort sounds, with my hand a little bit and send them so that it's gonna be sent into delay. So like that. And it gets repeated a couple of times. Really love it. And together they sound like this with bassline, which is super nice. But if we stop for a second, and that's where I would like to go into the polymetric relationship in between these 2 oscillators. So at the moment, both of the tracks and both of the sequences are equal. They are the same. And they are 16 steps or 16 pulses long. But if I go into track 2 and go into the skip mode, I can skip some stages here and reduce amount of pulses on the second track and go into the polymetric territory. For example, if I skip these 4, which in total gonna give us 10 steps, we're gonna have 6 remaining, which gives us like the first track is gonna be 16 steps and the second track is gonna be 6 steps. And that's gonna sound awesome. I know that I can probably, instead of mass, use this one, which is total pulses, and set it to 16, but it's not gonna work properly for the polymetric situation, because what this is gonna do is gonna set the amount of pulses to 16 at the maximum, and then after 16 it's gonna reset the sequence. And then for the 6-step sequence, it's gonna play 6, 6, 4, and then start over again, which is not going to be, it's going to be also cool, but it's not exactly what I want today. So we skipped these 4 steps, and these 4 steps are like kind of stable steps of this entire sequence. So if we go back into baseline and listen to it, so these first steps are stable. They're like bum 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 bum, and then we have some variety in pitches, right? And in the second track, we just left these 4, which are kind of unstable. And let's listen to how it sounds. So it's definitely polymetric relation to this one. And let's listen together. Nice, right? And if we add a little bit of reverb to our bass line and switch on all the effects for our lead line as well. And let's listen together with some drums. Super nice. This one. Nice. Also, we can detune this. Nice. And another thing which I wanted to achieve in this patch is to be able to modulate things easily and play with the sound on the go, distort the sound or open up the filter, and then it's going to be sent into delay, repeated a couple of times. So I needed some controls. And fortunately, Metropolix has these 2 control knobs, which are basically macroses, and then you can assign them to different parameters inside of the Metropolix. You can change the scale or whatnot, but I simply assigned those 2 into A and B, outputs A and B, to create voltage offset. That's pretty much it. They're gonna go from 0 to 5 volts, and that's the main idea. And then output A goes here into this little multiplier, and then it's patched both into the LPF, low pass filter, and the saw modulation, so this one, which gives us a possibility to go into some crazy territory with our bassline. So with this macros, we can open up the filter and modulate the saw. So at the really beginning, it's gonna give us quite good sounding results, like stable, but then the more you go further, kind of gets crazier as well. This can be utilized as, for example, performance tool as well. You can slowly go and open up this filter, or you can, for example, bring some delay on the left input and then open up this filter a little bit, like just for tiny, for a little moment, right? So like this. So we bring the delay and bring this together, and then we have this. And then we go with delay back, because if we leave the delay here, it's gonna create this mud. But if we open up it together with this, yo. And for the plots, I did quite similar thing. So this control 2 is assigned to track B or output B, and it goes both into harmonics and morph, which basically harmonics is gonna detune the strings, and then the more you go, it more detunes them, and then it adds some noise at the end. And the morph is basically making the decay longer, and after the noon, it's gonna start kind of distorting the sound, as I shown before. So, and this one is actually super mad. Listen to this. So we have this, right? Beautiful sequence, which sounds beautiful with reverb. I always need to switch the reverb on and stuff like that. So, but if we move this control, yo, but, so this one, maybe not that good sounding, But if we play it and then do the same thing as we did with bassline, like this, but fortunately here we have delay always on, so we can do this. And then go back to our stable, harmonically right sequence, right? And then again. And this is super cool. Let's listen to the whole thing together. And then you just play with these two knobs forever. I can play like that for, I don't know, hours. And then we can change a couple of pitches actually on the Metropolics. There, I think in the Phrygian scale, maybe we can go into some like this. Nice. No, I can't do it at the same time, but anyways. Nice. I think that's pretty much it for today's video, and I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I hope you've learned something new for yourself or got inspired to go and create music, or actually both of that. I'm definitely inspired by this little setup with 2 oscillators and 1 powerful sequencer. You probably know the drill with all the algorithms, and if you want to support me, please go and do all the magic. And if you want to see another video where I jam on the Metropolics, you can check this one, and if you would like to learn a little bit more about Digitact's external mixer, you can check this video. And I really appreciate all of you guys and your support, and until the next time, have fun.